Hello, 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 Christmas Flixers. Welcome back to season 6 of Chicks on Christmas Flicks, where we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. Hey, everybody, I'm Brady. I'm back for, I guess this is week 4 to 5 of Countdown to Christmas. Um, you know, let me tell you something. Work never ceases to be crazy. I keep thinking that it's gonna like calm down and chill. It's not. It's really not. No. I'm just forever gonna be in the midst of chaos until at some point, I'm blessed to work for myself because I don't think working for anybody else is gonna give me anything but chaos. I've come to that realization. So if I accept working for somebody, I have to accept the chaos, period. So listen, my new obsession, I have a new obsession this week. So of course, my life's calmed down. I've got back to my getting back to my writing routine. It's kind of tough. I've still been doing a few house things that have been getting in the way, but I've got a new obsession, guys, and that's sourdough bread. I've never made it. Okay. I've never made it. I have, but I want to make it. All of a sudden now, I want to make sourdough bread and I want to make it well. And I want to make it well the first time, which I think is a fool's errand, right? I don't think anybody really does it well the first time. I've tried making other breads, like no knead breads, because they say it's fast. And so I'm thinking, yeah, this is where I need to go. And I have never made not a bowl, not, the French bread, nothing has ever like come out right. So, I've decided I want to do a process where I have to actually take my time and I have to go through the steps and I'm going to do all the things. And I bought all the things to make this perfect sourdough bread the first time. So I bought, I don't know, probably over $100. I know I bought over $100 worth of like jars, proofing bowls, um, the lamb, the bread lamb, uh, bread, the proofing bowl covers, like all the things, right? I bought all the things because I'm determined that I'm gonna make this perfect loaf of sourdough bread. And I have to make the starter, which I was going to like try to make a starter from like just flour and water is how you make it, right? It ferments and all of this kind of stuff. And I decided to get some starter that I could like reactivate. I don't know. I don't have any friends that make sourdough bread, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a try. So I'm going to start today. I'm supposed to get I have like my jars and all that stuff coming in today. So I'm hoping to get started today, which means if I start today with the starter pack that I have, the sourdough starter kit that I have, it's supposed to make sourdough starter within 3 days. So that means by Sunday, I could probably I could be ready to bake a loaf of bread. So I'm thinking Sunday to Monday, that I'll have like a fresh loaf of sourdough bread here that I can use for whatever. So I'm hoping, by all means, I am hoping that I execute this recipe correctly, and I am going to post whatever monstrosity that I end up with, because every loaf of bread I've ever made looks like a monstrosity, except for like those like French bread loaves. Like those, I think I did pretty well, but nothing else. So I'm going to post on on what do you call it? I'm gonna post on Twitter pictures of my sourdough loaf, and I'll let you guys judge whether I did a good job or not. Also, I received my Hallmark Channel Wine's advent calendar. I bought one. I said, yeah, this is kind of feeling like one of those years where you need alcohol for an advent calendar. And I only drink wine now, so wine it is. So I bought this wine advent calendar. It is sitting right next to my work desk. So no, not during my work day. Get that out of your head, guys. At the end of my work day, after I finish my Peloton workout, I'm going to cap the day off with a bottle of wine. And then, it's only enough in the bottle for like one glass and a little more. So, but that box, let me tell you something. That box was heavy. I, I was thinking it was going to be like little bottles, right? I mean, these are little bottles, but they're not the smallest wine bottles I've ever seen. I've seen smaller and lighter wine bottles. I've done a wine tasting where they had like mini bottles of wine, and that's kind of what I was expecting. I was not expecting the box to be this heavy. So the box has 24 um, slots for different wines, and it's closed. So I don't know what wine I'm getting on what day. That's fine. I'm excited about it. So look, I did post a picture though. It's on hashtag Chicks on Christmas Flicks if you want to see my Hallmark wine advent calendar. There's a picture of it along with some instructions. So apparently they give you instructions for like activities to do on advent calendar night. And so um, I may do those activities. One thing you can be certain of is I will drink the wine. 100%. I'm all in for the wine. I don't know if I'm in for the activities, but the wine, yes. So that is that. And then, so what I wanted to kind of gauge, right? How are you guys feeling about the movie so far? Like, I feel like in past years, you could kind of divide the season, right? Everything was like before and after Thanksgiving, like the run up to Thanksgiving, and then what happens after Thanksgiving. But on Hallmark this year, like, I feel like a lot of the premiere movies, the movies that were like heavily anticipated, are actually happening before Thanksgiving. It's like the run up to Thanksgiving is the big time. And then what happens after Thanksgiving is going to be like kind of going, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's not, I don't know. I mean, because they've just got so many Christmas stars and so many Christmas movies, it'll end up being stuff that I love. But honestly, like the run up to Thanksgiving has been fantastic. So, and we've got a really good week coming up. So, in addition to, I'm going to do ratings and reviews for Christmas Above the Clouds and a Keller Christmas Vacation. And then I'm also going to add The Great Snow In. That's from Up TV. I finally had a chance to watch it. And I mostly watched it because of Joey Lawrence. I love the Lawrence family, right? Like I love the Sanders family. Like there's families of people that I love. So I love the Lawrence family. I love the Deion Sanders family. I love their family. There's families of people that I love. There's probably more than that, but those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head at 4:00 in the morning. And then, so starring in it with her, though, is starring in uh, The Great Christmas Snow In with Joey Lawrence is Amanda Fuller. And I loved Amanda. I don't know if you guys watched The Last Man Standing. That was one of those shows. I'm not a big Tim fan. I forget his last name right now, but you know what I'm talking about. So I've never been a big fan of his. Never. But I love that show. I really did love that show. Him in a house with four women, right? And he was who he is and all that kind of stuff. And, having the great outdoors store and all of this kind of stuff. I really actually did like that show a lot. So, so I loved Amanda Fuller from that show. And so I had an expectation because, she plays a pretty strong character in that show. And I kind of had an expectation in my brain. And I will tell you in the review whether it met my expectations. Also, look, tonight, Netflix kicks off its Christmas movie season with A Merry Little Xmas. That's with Alicia Silverstone. Melissa Joan Hart is also in there. I mean, that I let me tell you something. If I should have watched it before I did the show, but I'm gonna review that in the next Tuesday show. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to that because I love Alicia Silverstone. I love Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa has done like almost all of her movies. She's directed movies. She starred in movies for Lifetime. And so now she's on Netflix. So to me, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Also, this week on Friday, Disney Plus follows behind all these great movies with A Very Jonas Christmas. That's going to be on Friday. And then also on Friday, Mistletoe Murders, Season 2, Episode 2. I have not yet watched it. I want to binge all of the shows in the season. I think there's going to be 4 Mistletoe Murder Fridays for the season, I think. I think it's going to be 4, 3 or 4, something like that. So I'm looking forward to that, but I want to binge it all in one sitting, like, especially if there's like a cliffhanger. They'll probably have another cliffhanger because I suspect that this is going to get renewed for another season. So it'll be season 3, which means it'll leave off on a cliffhanger. But I don't want it to be like a in-season cliffhanger. I want it to be an end-of-season cliffhanger. So I'm going to wait and watch that at the end of the season. I don't know if you can tell, but right now I am actually feeling better than I was probably the last show. I did not realize how bad I was feeling. I have been sick all weekend long. I've been in bed. I've been taking cold medicine, and obviously I feel better now. But that really put me on my butt for a couple days. I didn't have any fever or anything like that. It was all sinuses. Part of me thinks it was like allergies. That just got allergies really badly, but because I was so tired and I was really in my bed, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Had no fever ever. I had no cough really, except for sometimes, I'd have the little dry throat or whatever. But just be careful, guys out there. Prepare yourselves for the holiday season. Start wearing your hats and start wearing your scarves, because, that cold came on me so fast. And then, I mean, it's gone, it's going now. It's not like not 100%. You could probably still hear a little hum in my voice, but at least I feel like I'm over the worst of it. Anyway, so that's enough for that. First things first today, guys, St. Nick shout outs. So as always, I love to begin the show with shout outs to listeners. It's really my favorite tradition on the show. I don't know if any other shows do this. Honestly, I really don't listen to any other Christmas movie podcast just because I don't want it to influence me, right? I want to talk about what I want to talk about the way I want to talk about it. And so I kind of contain. Now I will listen to other podcasts, don't get me wrong, but I don't listen to Christmas movie podcasts because like I said, I don't want to be influenced by it. So I don't know if other people have this tradition. I really don't. But I know I love this tradition. I love thanking the listeners and shouting you guys out for listening to the show. I know it's a big deal. With my schedule, as nutty as it is, I know it is a big deal to invest your time and out of your schedule in order to listen to any podcast, let alone this very niche podcast, right? Talking about Christmas movies. But I do love Christmas movies and I love everyone who watches them. And so I just want you to either know like how I feel about Christmas movies. I want you to be able to plan ahead for Christmas movies coming up in the week so that you can kind of plan your schedule and know what you're going to watch and what you're not going to watch. So I'm excited about it today. Anyway, so today I'm going to give you the slightly longer version of the St. Nick shoutouts. I'm going to give some big love to 5 listener locations and the top Christmas events. Notice I didn't say the top 3, but it'll be the top. So I got a different summary this week. Hopefully that'll shorten this segment a little bit so that the show will be a little shorter. So remember, I don't know who you are, but I know where you live. The first location this week is Front Royal, Virginia. Front Royal, Virginia. If you don't know where Front Royal is, I know where it is. You know why? Because when I drive to work, I always see Front Royal, Virginia on the highway sign for like 395. It says Front Royal. I think you take I-66 going towards Front Royal, right? So I think it's like it's more southern in Virginia, not close to Washington, but a little further south. And I think it's more like mountainous kind of thing, right? So, so thank you for joining Front Royal for Virginia, a fellow DMVer. At least your sign is in the DMV, right? Even if Front Royal is not exactly in the DMV, the sign for Front Royal is 100% in the DMV. So we'll talk about a few events in Front Royal. First of all is their Christmas Parade and Festival, presented by the Front Royal Chamber of Commerce. This event typically takes place on the first Saturday of December. So we're not far off from that. It's like 2 weeks away, right? It includes a parade starting at 4 p.m., along with a festival in the gazebo area that features vendors, children activities, and entertainment starting at noon. The next is Christmas on the Main, held on December 6th, 2025, this year, right? So this is the event that's coming up for this year. This event features a merry market. Merry market, you know I love to shop. With over 200 vendors and live music. So Christmas on the Main, December 6th. If you want to get your shopping done, go to Christmas on the Main. Then they have the Front Royal Light Fight. Now, you know I'm all about this. This is a friendly competition for residents to showcase their Christmas light displays. Prizes are awarded to 6 winners. First of all, I would want to see the competition. I might not participate because, my Christmas lights outside, it basically is comprised of lazy lights, what I call laser lights, but I call them lazy lights. That's because you only have to stick the one thing in the ground and then you show the lights all across the front of your house. That's all I have the energy to handle. Like figuring out how to plug that in so that the mail person the postal person doesn't trip over the cord every week. That's a job. I'm sorry, that's a job. And then I have to figure out like how to keep that out of the way so they don't trip while also displaying lights. That's what I got. Now, inside the house is definitely more festive, but outside the house, that's what I do. I do lazy lights. I do 2 sets of lazy lights to show on both sides of the house. I'll post pictures of, I think, last year's lazy lights. I think I have pictures of last year's lazy lights. So I'll do that. And then I also do like garland in my foyer. So on my staircase, I hang garland. And I'm going to do that this week as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, enough about that. The next event in Front Royal is the Main Street Holiday Stroll. Stroll down Main Street to see the decorated lampposts and a lit up tree at the gazebo. The area has shops, food, and drink. Main Street holiday stroll. So they have Christmas on the main, and then they have the Main Street holiday stroll. Sounds like all good stuff, all good things happen in Fort Royal on Main Street. There's a lot of main streets throughout this country. Even like my small town in Bel Air, we used to have a main street. We used to have one street. It's literally one road that goes from the beginning of town to the end of town. And like if you stay on that road all the way through town, you've seen everything pretty much. You've not seen like residences, but you've seen like all the things that there are to see in the town. Um, so I imagine Front Royal being, it sounds very much the same. You got one street with all the stuff, and then you've got houses and like the residences and where people live. Anyway, so the number 2 location on my list this week is Mullen, South Carolina. Mullen, South Carolina. So, Christmas events in Mullen include the annual Mullen's Hometown Holidays, featuring a Christmas parade and tree lighting. And this will take place on December 6th. So December 6th is going to be a big weekend, right? The first weekend of December, though, I guess, right? With a parade. The parade starts at 5:30, followed by the tree lighting. Throughout this December, other events will include late night shopping on Tuesdays, the 2nd, the 9th, and the 16th, and breakfast with Santa. Nah, you gotta love breakfast with Santa. Number 3, Sparks, Nevada. Sparks, Nevada. The main Christmas event in Sparks is the hometown Christmas celebration, which includes a tree lighting on Friday, December 6th. Well, so they did it on December 6th last year. So this year, I think it's going to be December 5th, right? That'll be the Friday. Everything else happens on Saturday. And a parade, the parade with the theme A Cowboy Christmas will run from 1 to 2:30. I think that was last year, though. They probably got a different theme this year. Other regional events like Reno Christmas Tree Lighting Festival, Christmas on Ice, and the Polar Express train ride are also happening in nearby Reno Sparks area. Let me tell you, I want to do a Polar Express ride. This year at the Gaylord in on the National Harbor, they have the ice exhibit and they have a Polar Express, the engine for the Polar Express there. I really want to go see that. My son and I were beefing right now, but after, hopefully we'll not be beefing by December, early December. Probably the closer it gets to Christmas, the more friendly we'll be. And but I want to ask him if he wants to do the ice exhibit this year. I definitely want to go see that. So, and I think, normally we do some event, like we used to do the enchant events when they did them for Hallmark in the area, and that was always fun. But they stopped doing the enchant events, I think, because now they're hosting everything in Kansas City. So, and so like if you want an enchant like event, you got to go to Kansas City for that. So, yeah, kind of disappointed with that, but we're gonna find another event, and maybe this ice event, which you go into this place, they have all these ice sculptures, and it's like super cold, and I do not like being in super cold, so I will bundle up, but I do like having some kind of Christmas event with my son. And then they have a casino there, so maybe we'll bet a roll of quarters or something. Listen, I'm not a big better. I do not do bets. I do not do gambling. Not a gambler. And, I just drink wine and I'm happy with that. So we'll see. But maybe, for him, he's never gambled before, I don't think. So we might do a roll of quarters. Anyway. So that's that. And people in Nevada, you can relate to that, right? Anyway, the number 4 location. Now, this is a new one for me. I was excited to see this. Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, that's Israel, right? Tel Aviv, Christmas, so apparently they watch Christmas and they have Christians in Israel. Of course you do. Of course they do, right? But Tel Aviv Christmas events include Jaffa Christmas lighting ceremony at the clock tower, festive Christmas markets in Jaffa and other locations, and a variety of holiday-themed parties and events hosted by venues like Tedder FM and Kuli Alma. You can also attend midnight mass. I always used to do midnight mass growing up. Like, I'm not sure that I've really done midnight mass since I moved from Bel Air, but always at St. John's Catholic Church, we did midnight mass. They have midnight mass at Emmanuel Church in Jaffa, and numerous shops and restaurants offer holiday-themed activities and decorations. So they have the big events, the Christmas light ceremony, the annual lighting of the large Christmas tree in the clock tower in Jaffa is a major attraction. This tree is lit up for the entire holiday season. Christmas market, the Jaffa Flea Market transformed into a festive Christmas market with holiday goods, food, and decorations. And then they have parades and other activities, right? So Jaffa is known for its multicultural celebrations that include a Christmas parade and various festive installations like a giant Hanukkah menorah. Of course, you've got to have some Jewish around all that Christian in Tel Aviv, right? All right. Number 5 is Gilbert, Arizona. Gilbert, Arizona. So that was a new location. I've not seen Gilbert on my list before. So that's why I wanted to highlight it this time. Gilbert, Arizona offers numerous Christmas events, including theatrical performances like Hi-Fi Holidays. I would love to know what that's about. I did not go look that up, but I would like to know what that Hi-Fi Holidays, I wonder what that's about. At the Hale Theater and popular attractions like Christmas at Schneff Farms. Residents or can also enjoy driving or walking through elaborate neighborhood light displays in areas like Liberty Lane and the islands. And there are several nearby events, including the Phoenix Zoo's Holiday Lights and the APS Electric Light Parade, all of which sounds fantastic. And, we in Washington, the National Zoo, we have a zoo events. So that is it for St. Nick shoutouts. Okay. The last one was Gilbert, Arizona. Thank you everybody for joining in and tuning in, listening to the show. Love to have you. All right. So next up is Ho, Ho, Ho holiday headlines. And I've got quite a few pieces of news today. And then right after this, we're going to go straight into ratings and reviews. So if you wanted to hear the ratings of the reviews for the movies of the week, yeah, you want to stick around and listen to that, or you want to skip ahead if you don't want to hear all this news. But I've got some good news, interesting news. First of all, I've got a piece of sad news for anybody who loves Hallmark movies. And if you love the best friends in Hallmark, I am a fan, always a fan of the best friends in Hallmark. Crystal Lowe, who every time I see her, like I've not seen her star in a Christmas movie, but she's always like one of the best friends or like a key character, right? But Crystal Lowe. So if you remember Marry Me at Christmas with Rachel Skarsten and Trevor Donovan, Crystal played Rachel Skarsten's best friend, the one she was in business with, and then the one who took pictures, I think, posted them of Trevor Donovan. And, Rachel Skarsten her character felt betrayed by Crystal's character. So I just want to put you in mind of who this is, right? And then if you watch Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, Crystal plays Rita, right? And she's also been in Christmas at Dollywood, and she was in Flip That Romance. Flip That Romance, obviously, with Julie Gonzalo is like one of my favorite movies. But if you remember, she owned the coffee. So Crystal is the girl who owned the coffee shop in that movie, right? She was behind the counter with the coffee shop. And then, so when Tyler came in, and offered to like repair her picnic table or something because people were getting splinters on it. That's Crystal Lowe. Anyway, she has breast cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy. So apparently the treatments are going well and she expects to recover. But in the picture I have, she lost all of her hair, and it's probably due to the chemotherapy. But she's beautiful. She's beautiful before and she's beautiful now. Still just gorgeous, right? Um, but you just never know what people are going through. And you look at these actors and actresses, right? And they're really just characters, right? They're not, you don't really see them as people until you kind of see them behind the scenes, and you see like an Instagram post with Crystal bald because she's going through breast cancer treatments. That's crazy. So she was supposed to be at Christmas Con. She canceled her Christmas Con appearance because she's taking some kind of cancer treatment. And so she posted that on Instagram. First of all, prayers out to her, but also these actors and actresses, they are just people going through stuff. And I just hope this is a reminder to everybody to just be kind. Just be kind to people. My goodness, what a weight. And if she's had cancer and it's taken her hair, she's probably been going through this for a while. And you just don't think that all these people are going through these like really deep, deep things. But, fame and being on the Hallmark Channel or being on TV or being in the movies, it doesn't exempt you from, going through crap, right? I mean, look at Bruce Willis now, right? He's like one of my favorite actors. And he's fighting that battle. I mean, he can't even speak now. It's just, you got to remember these are people behind the screens, behind TV screens, behind the movie screens. These are people, and you just never know what people are going through. So be kind. Be kind. I saw where people were like talking about Chadwick Boseman before he passed away, and how he had lost weight, and everybody was just like, he's got HIV, he's got this, he's got that. And he'd been fighting colon cancer for like 4 or 5 years or something like that. People didn't even know. But you never know. People have silent battles they don't share with the public. And there were so many ugly comments made about him. So many ugly. I am so glad I don't join the chorus of these stupid, idiotic, poor taste comments about people. I don't. I don't engage in it, and I don't like it, and I don't like it when I see it. And I don't, I'm not rage baited. You can't rage bait me unless I want to be baited and I have something that I want to say. But generally speaking, I'm not a rage baitable person. Right? You can't put negative out there and like I'm going to respond to it. No, because I'm going to sit with it for a minute and I'm gonna be like, nope. I'm gonna put my energy, invest my energy in something. So I hope people just remember that. Don't be rage baited into being nasty to people because you just don't know what people are going through. All right, that's enough of that. So if you're watching Up TV, oh my gosh, like I hope the schedule changes. Honestly, I hope this changes in December, but I don't know if it's going to change. But Up TV, like to me, from last year to this year, they changed their schedule. Because it used to be like all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you would have all Christmas movies. And then during the week, you might have Christmas movies like in the evenings. So they may have run like 2 or 3 Christmas movies in the evenings. This year, it's significantly shorter. So they have reduced their Christmas movies to, I think, Saturday and Sunday, 2 Christmas movies per day. Saturday and Sunday. So from 5 to 9, I believe, they run Christmas movies. And then the new movie of the week starts at 7 on Sunday. So Saturday will be 2 repeats from at 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then Sunday, 5 o'clock is going to be a repeat. And then Sunday will be the new movie. That's it for the whole week. I'm like, gee whiz, people are really shortening their Christmas schedules. And so you can kind of see why people didn't acquire as much, as many movies this year. And you see so many movies popping up on streamers and stuff because these schedules are super reduced. All right. The next piece of news I have is about advent calendars. Now, I always do an advent calendar for me, and I normally do one for the dogs. Well, for my dog. Now I have two dogs, thanks to my ex-husband. Yes. I don't know if I told you guys that story. He bamboozled me big time, right? But that's okay because I love dogs. It's fortunate that I love dogs. So what happened? Tiger was over my ex-husband's house. Tiger, my dog, my mastiff, was over at my ex-husband's house because he was over there with my son. So anyway, uh, my my ex has a dog. He has a mastiff, which I honestly, he's here sometimes, right? Bear is like a 200-pound mastiff. He's huge, right? But he's like the sweetest thing. Here's the thing. Let me just divert for a second. I have gotten used to having big dogs. So I don't see big dogs as dangerous anymore. And which I think is going to be problematic at some point because I'm going to see big dog and be like, oh, look at his little sweet face. And he's going to like chew my arm off because I, I, I'm like, so like, I love big dogs. I love big dogs anyway. So he's got Bear over there, but he also rescued a boxer named Foxy, a girl dog. So, so, my ex has Tiger, Bear, and Foxy, and uh, so somehow he is not paying attention. Tiger gets away from uh him when Foxy was in heat, and boom, we've got puppies. So this little boxer is carrying these huge mastiff puppies. So she was like so weighed down, poor baby. Oh my goodness, she was so weighed down and everything. But so she gives birth. She gives birth to oh, I think she gave birth to nine puppies. One puppy passed away, so it was eight live puppies that we had, and so he gave them to friends who wanted puppies. So all the puppies he gave away except one, Shadow, which he fell in love with because Shadow used to follow him all around the house and everything. Everywhere he went, Shadow was like at his foot constantly, right? So we kept Shadow, and he says, so I'm keeping Shadow, right? So now he has three dogs and I have Tiger. And then he says, can Shadow come live over there? Because a Bear, the 200-pound mastiff over there, kept fighting with Shadow. And of course, Shadow's too little to fight. So, and of course, I don't want to see anything happen to Shadow. So now I've got two dogs. And he says, just long enough for a Shadow to get big. And then once he's big enough, he can come back over here. Not even a week after Shadow was over here, he was like, well, I kind of like only having two dogs. So now I've got Shadow. So now we've got Tiger and Shadow. Just to explain why I have two dogs. And they are just like twins. So they're both brindle. Shadow looks more like a man. He looks part boxer, but he looks more like a mastiff than he does a boxer. He's huge. First of all, he's like 100 pounds already. He's a year old, and he's 100 pounds. So I have like 300 pounds worth of dog here between Tiger and Shadow. Anyway, as you can imagine, feeding them and all that stuff is a thrill. But I take very good care of my puppies, and I feed them chicken and rice weekly. So they're spoiled. They're super spoiled. Anyway, At Trader Joe's, they have the advent calendar. So in the past, I bought one for Tiger, but now I'll be buying two. And so this price is right. At Trader Joe's, the advent calendar has freeze-dried chicken dog treats. It's $7.99. $7.99 while supplies last. So you kind of got to get there soon. Now, here's the thing. I don't have Trader Joe's. I tried to go online because I wanted to order them. And they don't, you can't order from Trader Joe's, right? You have to go into the store. The closest store I have is in Alexandria, Virginia. And honestly, for me, living out in Southern Maryland, it's like a pain in the neck to drive. It's a pain in the neck to park. I have no desire to drive into Alexandria to go to Trader Joe's. However, I may make the trip for this if I call and find out they still have dog treats for sale. But they're $7.99. It's a 24-day calendar. So, I mean, that is a deal of deals, right? And it's all freeze-dried chicken treats, right? So it's not like grainy treats, it's chicken treats. So if you have a Trader Joe's nearby you and you have a pup, go to Trader Joe's, get the advent calendar. The dogs love it. Every day, Tiger was standing at my feet when it was time to get he would see me pick up the calendar and he'd be like at my feet, like, where's my treat? Where's my treat? So spoiled. These dogs are ridiculously spoiled. But anyway, so pick up a Trader Joe's advent calendar. If you haven't, if you haven't ever gotten a calendar for your pup, they love it. They really do love the advent calendars, and they will get trained, honestly, to come get their treats when they see the calendar come out. And it's the cutest thing. I mean, Tiger would sit at my feet and he would pat his tail on the ground. He's got this heavy tail, so it sounds more like thunder. But he would bang his tail on the floor and he'd be like, where's my treat? Where's my treat? Oh, so cute. I just love him. So anyway, I'm looking forward to doing that with him and his son, Shadow, this year, who I got tricked into keeping. Okay. Turner Classic Movies. So I don't know if you guys are a big Turner Classic Movies fan, but this next piece of news is all for me, really. And for those of you who might like black and white movies, I love black and white movies. I love Turner Classic Movies. There are, sometimes they'll feature like stars in like marathons, like the Hover Doors Day Marathon or Cary Grant Marathon or whoever, right? Barbara Stanwyck, whoever, Joan Collins, they have marathons with them, right? Well, I watch them like faithfully. Faithfully, I watch black and white movies. So in addition to Hallmark, in addition to football, yes, I do love a black and white movie, and I actually own quite a few of them. I own the Katharine Hepburn movies, all the ones that she did with what's his face, the guy she fell in love with. But I did all the ones with him. I have all the movies with him, even though that's a complicated story in the backstory. But I did all the movies with him. I have all the Cary Grant, like all the major Cary Grant movies from like the 1934. My Favorite Wife, all the way up until like An Affair to Remember. Like, I'm a connoisseur. I love the black and white movies. So if you love the black and white movies, and especially those around Christmas, you're going to want to hear this news. So I did not capture all the movies. They're going to have a bunch of movies showing in December. But these are the Christmas movies that I will 100% be watching no matter what. First of all, the first movie is The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant. We know The Bishop's Wife. So we know that Cary Grant did The Bishop's Wife. They did a remake with Whitney Houston and Denzel Washington. I want to say in the 90s. That's like got to be a 90s movie, right? So if you're familiar with that movie, it's that movie, The Preacher's Wife, is the one. It was based on this movie, The Bishop's Wife. So if you have, I've seen the original, and I've seen obviously the preacher's wife, and I think I saw the bishop's wife before I saw the preacher's wife too. So when I saw it, I did have some context of what was going to happen in that movie. But anyway, I love it. It was like one of my favorites from Cary Grant. So that's happening December 4th. So all these movies are happening in December. Then I don't know if you guys have seen Christmas in Connecticut with Barbara Stanwyck. I loved that movie. That comes on December 7th. A holiday affair with Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. So you know Jamie Lee Curtis is, I think she's from the Halloween movies, right? But so you might know Jamie Lee from there. But her mother, Janet Lee, starred in this movie, Holiday Affair. That comes on December 14th. That's another one I love. And then the Christmas of all Christmas movies, Meet Me in St. Louis, right? So they talked about this movie in, if you've watched Sex and the City, the movie, the first movie, when Jennifer Hudson was in that movie, and she gave, what's her face? You know what I'm talking about. She gave her the movie Meet Me in St. Louis, and she sat and watched that movie and then went to go see her other friend. Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Meet Me in St. Louis, that's a reference point if you have not actually seen the movie. So they talked about it in Sex and the City. But it stars Julie Garland. And if you love the song Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, this is the movie where that song came from. So you may want to watch this on December 14th. And then another one on December 14th is The Shop Around the Corner, right? So there's been so many Shop Around the Corner movies, right? But one of my favorites is the actual You've Got Mail, right? We know that was based on Shop Around the Corner. And then Christmas Around the Corner with Alexandra Breckenridge. And I want to say Jamie Spilchuk is how you say his name. But those movies were based on this movie. And I actually own The Shop Around the Corner. I have that downstairs. So December 14th, if you want to see where like the movies that were based on like You've Got Mail and Christmas Around the Corner, The Shop Around the Corner comes on December 14th. Okay? So, excuse me, December 14th is a big day for TCM, right? Because you get Holiday Affair, Meet Me in St. Louis, and The Shop Around the Corner all on the same day. So those were my favorites out of the list of movies. Now, there are some that came before, in the middle of these, some that come after, but these are my favorites. So check those out on TCM if you have time and love black and whites as much as I do. All right, the next piece of news is in Buffalo. So anybody in the Buffalo area who's listening to this show, and I do have Buffalo fans based in Buffalo, this is big news for you. So there is going to be a meet and greet for the cast of Holiday Touchdown, A Bill's Love Story, right? This is happening November 14th. So this Friday from 1 to 3 at Annie's Hallmark on 1046 Union Road. So who is supposed to be there? So they've got quite the lineup. Andrew Walker, Wes Brown, Ben Ayers, Holland Roden, Matthew Daddario, who is going to be in the movie, in the Holiday Touchdown movie with Holland Roden, and then Caroline Aaron, who's also supposed to be in the actual movie. So Andrew, Wes, and Ben are not supposed to be in that movie, but Holland, Matthew, and Caroline Aaron are supposed to be in the movie. So the event is first come, first serve. And what they say is talent appearances may change. So even though they have announced that Andrew Walker, Wes Brown, Ben Ayers, all these guys are supposed to be there, when you get there, might be somebody different, might be fewer people. Because, these are people, right? Travel is crazy right now. Can you imagine, they're reducing, that's the day they're supposed to reduce air travel to by 6% or 5% or something like that. And so, there's not enough air traffic controllers, apparently, based on this government shutdown. So, So there's not going to be as much air travel. So it's probably going to be tricky for stars to come like all the way across the country on schedule without their flights being canceled or delayed. I heard this past Monday, like yesterday, that delays were like 5 hours. 5 hours. Can you imagine like having a taxi or sit on the runway for 5 hours? Think about that. Stuck in a plane for 5 hours before it moves. Oh my God. What a nightmare. So, anyway, just keep in mind the meet and greet is going to be this Friday, but there may be some delays and there may be some people who are scheduled to attend that don't actually attend. All right. And so then I think my last piece of news is around Disney Plus. So I didn't know this. Disney Plus launched a holiday channel called Seasons Streaming that runs from November to January 2026. So, you know, when I open up the Hallmark app, on the first page, you will see these 24/7 Christmas movie channels, 24/7 Christmas movie mysteries, and rom-com channels. And they had a When Calls to Heart channel, but they swapped out the When Calls to Heart channel for they swapped out the rom-com channel for the When Calls to Heart channel. So now they have the three channels. And to me, it sounds like this. I have not been on my Disney Plus app. I have to go look on it. But I'm guessing that they have, if they have a chiclet there that says season streaming. And if you click on season streaming, that you'll see the 24/7 Christmas movies on Disney Plus. So check out, if you want more than what Hallmark offers, check out season streaming, right? On Disney Plus. Oh, and here is the last piece of me. I just got this late yesterday. With Love Megan. So I've told you guys how much I love that show. I absolutely love that show. That's on Netflix, and that is Meghan Markle's like home show. It's kind of Martha Stewartish, Rachel Rayish kind of. It's cooking, but it's more than cooking. It's like gifts. It's like all the things. It's what rich people do for the holidays, and, and to when they're not working. It's what they do to live, right? It's like kind of watching like lifestyle shows, right? So I watch a lot of lifestyle stuff on YouTube. I have various YouTube channels, but With Love Megan, absolutely 100% is like one of my favorite shows. She always brings in like these like celebrity chefs, and they always cook something good, and she has guests over, and she makes these great presents for them and all this kind of stuff. Well, With Love Megan, it has a Christmas special coming up in December. On December 3rd, the With Love Megan Christmas special comes up, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think this is her final show. This is the final With Love Megan show on Netflix. I am so looking forward to seeing this. And honestly, I wish it was not the last With Love Megan show, because I really loved them. I loved kind of seeing her kind of go through her, you know, the cooking, showing how she's cooking. She's like me. She likes to keep a clean kitchen while she's cooking, so she always cleans up behind herself and her guests and all of that. And they always make something good. And I've probably made two or three of the dishes. I would say two of the dishes. There's one like pasta dish, very easy pasta dish that she's done, and there was baking focaccia bread that she also did, right? I loved both of those. Both of those recipes I did. Variations thereof, but I did. So if you love With Love Megan, or if you have not watched it, you could check out the other seasons. I think there's two other seasons on Netflix, and then the final Christmas special is December 3rd. All right. That is all the ho 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 holiday headlines I have for today. So now it's time for ratings and reviews. So I have a few ratings and reviews that that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go and we're going to talk about the schedule for next week. For this week, right? What's coming out for this week? All right. So the first rating and review I have is for The Great Christmas Snowing. Now this starred Joey Lawrence and Amanda Fuller. Um, so honestly, I love this movie. It really took me back to the no cookie cutter era that they had at Up TV, when like they had all these really great movies that did not quite fit the formula, but fit it enough that I wanted to see it over and over and over again. And that's going to mean something when I talk to you later. Okay. So um so it was very much a no cookie cutter movie. So the premise is Justin retreats to a cabin meant for his honeymoon, but is snowed in with Jane, his ex-fiance's cousin. A spark forms between them when Justin's ex comes with her boyfriend. So his ex shows up. He's getting the feels for this Jane person, and then his ex shows up. All right. Secrets and discoveries about love and second chances reveal. This, to me, was an out-of-the-box Christmas movie. I loved it for so many reasons. Um, First of all, it sucked me in from the moment the movie started. And you know why? Because there was no backstory. The writing to me was supreme, right? There's no backstory. They literally start you with the movie and they integrate the backstory with you watching the movie play out. So you're not getting like 3 or 4 scenes of backstory before you get to the actual movie starting. No, the movie starts from the time the camera rolls. It's beautiful. They cut out all that. That's how they tell us to write books, right? They say, eliminate the backstory, start in that action scene. And that's kind of what they did here. So you really got the backstory and the story at the same time. Loved it because it's easy to keep the interest. It makes you wonder, like, how did they get here, whatever. And so as the story unfolds, you kind of see they kind of peel away at the core of the story and the mess that happened and the ex. And so by the time the ex comes in the door with the boyfriend, like you kind of understand how messy the situation is. And then it just, it takes off from there. So I loved it. I thought they were both naturals together. I thought the pairing was great. Amanda and Joey, not a pairing that I would have put together, but a pairing that works perfectly. Um, I wanted to watch it again immediately, but I had to go to work. For me, work means go downstairs to my office, my 10-second commute, but I had to go to work. So I couldn't watch it again immediately. But I have watched it since. I did, when I finished work yesterday and I finished all my errands and all that kind of stuff, I did watch it. So it's great. It's a good Christmas story. I would say that it's actually a good story that just happens in a Christmas setting. In other words, like there's not a lot of Christmassy elements to the story. It's really kind of a story, you know, that a rom-com, that could be a rom-com. If you put a different background to it, it could be a beach story. If you, it could be a city story, it could be whatever. But it was the background and the Christmas tree and everything that made it more Christmassy. So there wasn't really a Christmas theme in the story, but to me, didn't matter. I loved it anyway. I would love it no matter where it was. So for me, this movie got a 4.25 Christmas trees, which is not as good as Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. For me, that was a standout movie. And it is the barometer by which all movies will be judged. And so it was not Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper good, but it was good nonetheless, and just slightly not as good. So if you can catch it and repeat, or you can watch it on Up Faith and Family if you have that app. Okay. If you have Prime, you can get the like 7-day trial period, and you can watch uh, that the Great Christmas Snowman on Amazon Prime. All right, movie number 2, Christmas Above the Clouds. Okay, I had been waiting for this one. This is Aaron Krakow and Tyler Hines. The premise of Christmas Above the Clouds is when a workaholic CEO, Krakow, tries to skip Christmas by flying to Australia, she's in for the flight of her life. And she really is in for the flight of her life. Haunted by her past, present, and future, she's forced to confront the choices that led to her success, yet left her flying solo. With the help of 3 quirky spirits and a surprise reunion with her ex, Hines. The surprise reunion has him like sitting right next to her on this long long flight to Australia, right? She might just rediscover the magic of Christmas and the love she thought she'd lost. Okay. So first of all, let me start with I like this movie. But I had a problem with it, and I kept trying to figure out what was the problem I had with it. Why is it that it did not engage me as much as like the other movies I've watched this year? Like Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, right? Why did it not give me the 4.5 feels, right? And so I really had to think about it. And so to me, the acting was great. Like Erin had some great zingers and she delivered them. She has some great, like mean zingers, right? But to me, Erin just does not pull off the ambitious Grinch really well, right? To me, she's too nice. She's played such nice characters. It's really hard to see her. And she's a nice person. Like, if you've seen her kind of behind the scenes, you see that she's like a super nice person. So you, she's just too nice. So um, when I thought about it, I was like, who did? And I don't know, she might be the nicest person in the world, but you know who did this female Scrooge really well was Emmanuelle Vagier, right? And she was in It's Christmas Carol with Carrie Fisher. And I think that is the barometer by which I judge Scrooge characters, right? Because that was just, to me, completely underrated. But she played that that grinchy, cranky roll off super well. I had it earlier in that day before I watched Christmas Over the Clouds. I watched a cookie cutter Christmas, which I, whether you know it or not, it's like one of my favorites. It's like one of my favorite classic Christmas movies. Like I have to watch that every year in some way, shape, or fashion for it to feel like, yeah, this is Christmas season, right? That's one of my favorite classic movies. So I had just watched Aaron in Cookie Cutter Christmas before I watched Christmas in the Cloud later that evening. So it's hard for me to see her as this sweet, like lovable, like quirky character in Cookie Cutter Christmas and then come and see her as a Grinch in Christmas. It just doesn't, and like if you look at her movies on Hallmark, she's really usually been the sweet character. So it's just very hard for me to see her as this Grinch, Scrooge type character, right? The uh, Ella Neezer, right? So I don't know. It was a little bit of a reach for me, but I do love the movie overall. And of course, Tyler was Tyler, like in the best way. So I give this movie 4.25 Christmas trees. It definitely didn't knock off like Merry Christmas Ted Cooper for me. 100%. Merry Christmas Ted Cooper is the best rom-comish type movie I've seen this year for Hallmark in the Hallmark Christmas movie things. But I have watched Christmas Above the Clouds twice now, fully, and then one time partially. So I know it's going to be a repeat view for me. It's not one that when it comes on the TV, I'm going to be changing the channel, but I might not seek it out, right? If it comes on, I'm going to watch it, but it's not one that I'm going to be like, oh my God, I got to watch that movie. Like there are movies like that that are on my DVR right now that I watch all year round, no matter what. And at the end of the season, I'll go through my DVR list if you want me to go through that. But yeah, it's it was good for sure, but it was not Merry Christmas Ted Cooper good. And for that reason, I gave it 4.25, which is awesome, right? But it's just not the highest rating I have this year. All right, movie number 3, A Keller Christmas Vacation. This is Brandon Routh, Jonathan Bennett, Eden Sher. Oh my gosh. So let me tell you, I saw the previews, the trailers, all the things, right? And I kept seeing this girl's face, and I was like, I know her from something. I just can't place where I know her from. And then I'm watching the movie. I'm like halfway through the movie, and finally it hit me. Sue Heck from The Middle. That's where I knew her from. I love her character. I was so nerdy. Like I was the nerdy band girl. I was the klutz. I so related to Sue Heck's character. And now I don't know, my classmates may think of me different. That's how I thought of myself, right? So when I realized it was her in the movie, I loved it even more. It was probably a bias at that point because I love Sue Heck. I love Eden Sher playing Sue Heck. But it took me a minute. Yeah, I know. Shamefully, it took me a minute to figure out who she was. Because she's grown, right? In the show, in the middle, she had on like the braces. I think she eventually got her braces taken off in the show, but I remember like the braces Sue Heck, right? I don't. So this Sue Heck was not the same Sue Heck, and she wasn't like nearly as goofy and quirky as Sue Heck. So it took me a minute to place her, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is Sue Heck." And I love The Middle. Like I used to watch it faithfully. So that was a good movie. I mean, that was a good series. Anyway, so the premise behind A Keller Christmas Vacation is Christmas is going to be a little different this year for the Keller family as parents, Ann and Ben, buy their 3 adult children, oldest Cal, middle, son Dylan, and daughter Emery, a river cruise down the Danube River from Germany through Salzburg to Vienna, touring beautiful European Christmas markets and towns along the way. The one problem? The very different siblings who are going through their own personal life challenges have naturally gone in separate directions over the years, and the idea of spending 10 days cooped up on a river cruise together makes each Keller child cringe for their own reasons. But they say yes, because that's what families do, right? That's what we do. We cringe, we go to the thing, we do the thing, but we cringe. Never expecting it to turn out to be a glorious once in a lifetime experience full of misconnections, new friendships, stunning vistas, relationship upheaval, budding romances, shipboard games, family bonding, and a secret that brings them all together in time for Christmas. I loved this movie. I love this movie in a different way than I loved Merry Christmas Ted Cooper, but I loved it equally. It was so good. The family dynamics was perfect. Uh you got to see you got to see all their backstories. Like they actually played out their backstories, but it was actually a good way to do it, right? They did it in a good way. They So you got to see all their backstories before they got to the cruise. So you knew all the problems that each of them was facing before they got to the cruise. And in this case, I really think it works because when you get to the cruise, it's like the next step in the journey, right? It's that step in the journey where it's a very different location, and you wouldn't get to see the backstory on the cruise, except that you saw the backstory, right? Because all the backstory kind of happens in all their different locations and all their different relationships and all that kind of stuff, right? So you kind of see that separately. But when they get on the ship, like how they work their way through those things, how their character arc for that middle, right? It happens on the cruise ship, and I think that's actually kind of good. And then they have the big family secret comes out, and it was huge. Like it was such an emotional moment. And I didn't think I was going to be emotional. And I was emotional because I was so bought in. I was so bought in for the story. I was bought in for the sibling story because that's really what it really centered around. It centered around the kids. And I was just so bought in to their reactions, to everything. And I don't know, having gone through some challenges with my family, my mother passing away, my dad, he lives here with me now, and has his health challenges and stuff. Like, I got it. I immediately got it. It's like when you're faced with some challenge like that, a huge challenge like that, like how you react to that is everything. It's everything to you, and it's everything to your family members. So I loved A Keller Christmas Vacation. This is definitely high on my list of Christmas movies to watch for this year. I gave it 4.5 Christmas trees, the same rating that I gave Merry Christmas Ted Cooper. However, it is not the same as Merry Christmas Ted Cooper. These are very, very, very different movies. That was very much a rom-com. To me, this is more dramedy, right? There's comedy in it for sure. There were some big laughs that I got, but also it is just very dramatic. This is something that you would see on like Miracles of Christmas on Hallmark Mysteries, not something that you would see on the Hallmark Channel. For that reason, I feel like I could give them both the same rating, but for very different reasons. So if you want to see a really, really, really good Christmas movie with some dramatic elements in it, A Keller Christmas Vacation is your movie. I love it. So far, for the Miracle of Christmas type movies, that is the top bar. For rom-coms, Merry Christmas Ted Cooper is my top bar. All right. So the last movie I'm going to talk about today, because I kind of started getting into it in the last episode, but I didn't quite form all my thoughts because I had just seen it that morning. And so I hadn't really formed all my thoughts or thought about what bothered me so much about this movie. Finding Joy. Okay. So Finding Joy is the Tyler Perry movie on Prime Video. And if you want to know the premise, I talk about the premise in the last episode. You can hear it there. You can kind of hear my initial thoughts about the movie there too. What I want to do here today is really talk about, because I had to really think about it. I've had a week to think about, like, what was my main issue with the movie? Why is it that I love no cookie cutter movies? And this was not a cookie cutter Christmas movie. But I didn't love this movie. And so here's what I figured out. And it was not only a lesson for Tyler Perry, but it was a lesson for me as a writer. It might be a lesson for writers out there too. So the main issue I had with this movie is, while it doesn't have to conform with the Christmas movie formula, I love no cookie cutter Christmas movies. It went way off to the left. Okay. And it didn't conform, but it did conform. Right? It didn't even conform to non-conforming. Because there are no cookie cutter Christmas movies. This was definitely in the no cookie cutter category. However, it was in the nether reaches of the no cookie cutter form. In other words, it was so far off even the non-conforming movies that, to me, um, it just didn't make it in a movie that I'm going to watch over and over and over and over again. That's what you want, right? That's the movie you want it, every time the season comes up. You want to be like, Finding Joy is my movie, right? I have to watch that movie every year. It doesn't feel like Christmas to me. Finding Joy is not that movie. Not that movie at all. And I think this is where you kind of have to understand the market. At least people in the me, like me in the market. Like, I'm not a special person, but I do watch a lot of Christmas movies, right? Um, and you would want to appeal to people like me who watch Christmas movies multiple times a year for multiple years and then multiple times during the season. I'm your favorite person when it comes to Christmas movies because I'm the person that I don't even care like what time of the year. It could be the middle of April. And I'm like, where are the Christmas movies? I want to watch Christmas movies. I will find my comfort movie and I will watch it over and over and over again. Every time I'm stressed at work or whatever, I will go to the Christmas movie. I'm the kind of one you want to appeal to, right? I'm not the only one you want to appeal to, but I'm the kind of person that you want to appeal to. So I had a few issues with this movie. First of all, I think the setup and the premise were perfect. Like the setup, the premise, even the backstory. I think the backstory kind of went a little long, but the setup and the premise were perfect. So you have this girl. She's kind of in a professional crossroads, and she's falling for this guy, and it's clear that the guy has different feelings from her, right? And now she's gonna like make this last ditch effort to like woo him completely. And then she's not sure how he feels about her, and then he invites her to be with his family, right? So she's thinking, well, I may not know how I feel about him or how he feels about me, but he did invite me to be with his family. So we must be taking things to the next level. So she's ready for the next level with this guy. And so so the backstory and the premise I think are good. Okay. I think when she gets to Colorado to be with his family, good, right? Um but then after like the big inciting incident happens, and after she, you know, does what she does after that, what I will call the great Christmas fall. um, After that, things kind of go off the rails. Um, to me, um, so I imagine like if you start the movie off with the pickup at the airport, right? And then you slowly kind of peel away at the backstory, like in flashbacks as she's driving. Or there are other ways to kind of integrate the backstory into the movie without front loading. A great example is the Great Snowing, right? It's the Great Christmas Snowing. Yeah, the Great Christmas Snowing. So that's a great example of how you can integrate backstory without having 3 scenes of backstory to start off the movie. For this movie, I think it just kind of went a little long. And then um, and then when it gets dramatic, it gets dramatic. It gets way, for me, for a Christmas movie, it gets way too dramatic, way too fast, right? Um, you have the lake plunge, right? Ways that you could do the lake plunge without it being as dramatic as that would be like Falling for Christmas. If so, they could check out Falling for Christmas, and they could see how that lake plunge was done. It was the same kind of thing, but it was much more Christmas movie friendly, right? There's a better way to handle a lake plunge. Last not least for me, the big turnoff for me would have been the weed smoking friend. He could have swapped out um, the marijuana for wine, and it would have been in the Christmas movie spirit. But instead, you've got this character smoking weed on the can. It's a turnoff for some people. For a lot of people, it is. I don't want to see that in a Christmas movie. And so then you turn off people who like the traditional Christmas movies. And like I said, in trying to defy, I think, the formula of Christmas movies and the tradition of these movies a little bit, I think he kind of did the movie a little disservice. I'm not the end all be all of Christmas movies, obviously. Certainly no judge. But these are the reasons that I personally will not be a repeat viewer of this movies. So for me, Finding Joy gets 3 Christmas trees. I think it's worth watching one time, but only one time. And I will probably not go looking for this movie. For the fact I can say I saw it, right? And I will probably not go look for this. I'll probably not go look for this movie again. It's not cookie cutter, but also to me, that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay, it's not cookie cutter in a good way. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, but I'll be right back with the schedule for next week. So we're going to talk a little bit about Netflix, Lifetime, and then what we're watching in Countdown to Christmas week 3 to 4. Okay, be right back. And welcome back to Chicks on Christmas Flicks. In the previous segment, I gave ratings and reviews for Countdown to Christmas movies and also the other movies. Finding Joy, A Keller Christmas Vacation, Christmas Above the Clouds, and The Great Christmas Knowing, which was an Up TV movie. In this segment, we're going to talk about a couple movies coming up. Netflix, Merry Little Xmas starts tonight. It comes on Netflix. So, if you've got Netflix, you can watch it starting today. A Lifetime movie, The Christmas Campaign, came up in my news feed. And then we're going to talk about the countdown to Christmas movies. So, first, A Merry Little Xmas. A Merry Little Xmas is supposed to be like a really, really, really good movie. I can't wait to see it. Alicia Silverstone and Melissa Joan Hart. With it starring those two, I'm already sold in. Right? If you saw Alicia Silverstone, to me, like one of her key movies is Clueless, which I have seen no fewer than a million times. I have watched that movie a ridiculous number of times. I could probably speak with the script, right? I have watched it that many times. I love that movie. I still today love that movie. Love it, love it, love it. The other movie that came up was the Christmas Campaign. And this came up because, if you know, Christmas movies and really just kind of African American, stars. Vivica A. Fox and Jack A. Harry, both of them play in this movie. Now, I want to say they played in a movie before together on Lifetime. And so now they're pairing up again for this movie called The Christmas Campaign. So, and it's really centered around advertising. So I'm really excited to see those two in another Christmas movie. So watch for The Christmas Campaign. Of course, I believe this movie premieres at the end of November 26th. So, the first weekend that Lifetime gears up its Christmas lineup, we will see The Christmas Campaign. So I'm excited about seeing that one. All right. So let's get into what we're watching for Countdown to Christmas this week. Uh, and I watched movies yesterday. I have Tuesday's lineup, but I'm watching movies this morning. So they've got a good lineup for today and through the rest of the week. And a lot of Christmas classics. Let me tell you something. If you're like me and you really miss the Christmas classic movies, meanings the ones that they literally put in the vault and that you haven't seen in probably a couple of years because they have shown so many of the current Christmas movies. They've had those on repeat. You're going to love this week. It's honestly a fantastic week for watching Christmas classics. So let me just get into what we're going to be watching for this week. So since today is Wednesday, I want to start with Wednesday. Although they had a lot of good stuff yesterday, I did watch quite a few movies yesterday um, because it was Veterans Day. I watched the military themed movies. Right, I kind of focused on those. So I watched Holiday for Heroes, Veterans Day, um, Christmas on Duty, and then I watched one of the classics for me. Was Angel of Christmas. I love that movie. And Looks Like Christmas with Anne Hesh. Sometimes it's hard for me to watch her movies. I really did like her, but excuse me. Uh yeah. I really did like her, but I still watch her movies. So it's kind of tough though. It's like watching Doris Roberts, it's kind of a struggle, but I love them. So anyway, today, Wednesday. So right now, as I sit here, uh Operation Christmas is on. Uh, Christmas Homecoming is on. No, Christmas Homecoming is on right now. I just finished watching Operation Christmas. Um, at 4 a.m., Christmas at the Golden Dragon. Love that one. Then uh, at 6 a.m. is Ghost of Christmas Always. That's on Hallmark Mysteries, and then Christmas in Rome in Hallmark. So I love both of those movies. That's going to be a toss up for me. Probably going to go with Ghost of Christmas Always, but I do love Christmas in Rome with Lacey Chabert. Then after that, Holiday Road. It's not one that I watch repeatedly because there's more drama in it, right? But I do love that movie. And then One Christmas Eve with Anne Hesh. I talked about her yesterday. She was in Looks Like Christmas. Today they're playing One Christmas Eve at noon on the 12th day of Christmas. This is absolutely one of my favorite movies. It's got Brooke Nevin. She's one of my favorite actresses on Hallmark, and she's also done movies that I've seen in recent history with Lifetime. So on the 12th day of Christmas, Brooke Nevins and Robin Dunn. Okay, and then Christmas Next Door plays the same time on Hallmark Channel. So that's kind of a toss up for me. And then My Christmas Family Tree is the next, and really the last one that I really haven't seen this year yet that I kind of want to see. It's played this year, but I haven't watched it this year. So I will watch the 4 p.m. Showing of My Christmas Family Tree. And I will say, like, for this week, I really did not focus on the movies, even though I will have my uh, TV continuously tuned to Hallmark. I did not really focus on the movies that I have been watching and that I have been repeat watching. I've really tried to focus on the quote unquote new movies for this week, meaning the ones that haven't really shown this season a lot, or the ones that are on at times when everybody can watch it versus 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when most people are asleep. So that's going to do it uh, for my list for Wednesday. For Thursday, I have a short list too. Um, at midnight, if you're up, and unfortunately I have been up, the Christmas Charade and Santa Summit are coming on at midnight, opposite one another. Yes, I love both of those movies. That was a hard pick. Um, at There's going to be Hitch for the Holidays and the 9 Days of Christmas. I want to say that's at 2 a.m. At 4 a.m., a Heidelberg holiday. Then they're going to have uh, the Christmas Shepherd and Xmas coming on at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Then at 8 p.m., the original North Pole, which I loved, and that's going to be opposite. Um, that's going to be opposite uh, Christmas at Pemberley, which I love both of those movies, but I will probably watch the original North Pole. I really missed that movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's one of those classics that if you haven't seen it this year, uh, this is the first time it's showing this year that I've seen. Anyway, all right. And then at midnight, we have Nostalgic Christmas and Christmas Getaway. A Christmas Getaway is always a 100% pick for me. Then Friday. I'm sorry. That was 10 p.m. 10 p.m. So 8 p.m. Original North Pole and Christmas at Pemberley. 10 p.m. Nostalgia Christmas and Christmas Getaway. Christmas Getaway for me. Okay. At midnight on Friday. Now, this is my favorite day of this week because they really reached into the vault and pulled out a bunch of Christmas classics. So if there's a day that one day out of this week where you're like, yeah, all the Christmas classics, I want to watch Christmas classics, it's going to be Friday for you. Okay. Um, all right. So at midnight is not a classic. Deck the Walls with Wes Brown. I do love that movie with him. Then A Novel Noel, we know, with Julie Gonzalo, right? It's like hard to find something that she does wrong. Then at 4 a.m. is Holiday Date and A Perfect Christmas. We know those are kind of classic-y. They're moving more into the classic realm. Then at 6 a.m., Best Christmas Party Ever with Tori DeVito. I love that movie. I love that movie. It's definitely a Christmas classic for me. Then at 8 a.m., Angels and Ornaments. Do you remember Angels and Ornaments? One of my favorite too. Very dramatic, and I love the ending. It's a kind of a tearjerker ending, but it was definitely good for me. One Starry Christmas. It comes on Hallmark at 10 a.m. Another Christmas classic. Then Debbie McComber's Trading Christmas. Noon Hallmark Mysteries. Another Christmas classic. Chateau Christmas comes on at 2 p.m. The Mistletoe Inn with Alicia Witt. I love that movie. That's at the Romance Novelist Retreat. Speaking of Romance Novelist Retreat, so I do have another show that I need to record. I don't know if I'll record it like today, right after this show. What time is it? Yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock. So I will probably try to edit and get the show out. And so, but one day this week, I am going to record this other show that I put together, which is Christmas movies for writing creatives, for writers and writing creatives, right? It's really not focused on like the people who like the artists who like paint artwork and stuff like that, because I know that could add like another 10 Christmas movies to this list. I really kind of focused on people who were centered around the writing. And I say writers because they're not all novelists, right? Some of them write newspaper articles or whatever. So what triggered that thought for me was the Mistletoe Inn, because the Mistletoe Inn is on that list. So it's going to be like my top 15 movies for writers, right? Or writing creatives, right? So if you are looking forward to that list, or if you're a writer or you have some interest to listen to that list, that episode is coming out later this week for sure. I've already put it together. I literally just need to record it. All right. So the Mistletoe Inn is at 4 p.m. Then we have My Street Austrian Holiday and Christmas Above the Clouds. That's at 6. And then we have the new Mistletoe Murders movies from 8 to 10. And then Christmas by Starlight. It's a new classic for me. I love that movie. Kimberly Susted, I mean, she can hardly do wrong for me. All right. And then Saturday. So I'm skipping midnight. All right. Saturday. Because there's probably a couple movies there that are not on my radar. Okay, so at 2 a.m., we have Christmas in the Air, which is also a Christmas classic in the Christmas classic realm. And Round is coming back on again. I watched Round and Round for the first time maybe last week, and all the way through, paying full attention, all of that stuff. And I actually love that movie. I don't know what rating I gave it last year, but that's a good one. Then Lucky Christmas. Do you guys remember Lucky Christmas? That is an older Hallmark classic that has uh that's the movie with the girl who loses her lottery ticket, and oh my gosh, the last scene of it is just infuriating. It's one of those Christmas Shepherd movies for me, right? Remember I told you about the Christmas Shepherd and how I struggled with the first part of that movie because if I went to go get my dog, if I lost my dog or somebody found my dog and I went to go get my dog back and they didn't want to give my dog up after they've only had it for like a week or 2 weeks, like we would be fighting, seriously, fighting. And I'd be walking away with my dog. The movie would have ended there. Well, this movie is equally infuriating for different reasons. At the end of the movie, it involves let's just say it involves a lottery ticket, and the handling of that lottery ticket is absolutely infuriating. Is all I will say about that. But it is a classic, and I do love it. And the romance of it was actually good. So, if you haven't seen Lucky Christmas and you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can watch that. Or Scouting for Christmas, which was kind of a sneak hit for me. I didn't know how that Tamara Mowry, Carlos March pairing was going to go for Scouting for Christmas, but it ended up being much better than I thought. I loved it. I actually love Scouting for Christmas. That's kind of one of my top movies. And then at 4 a.m., so 2 a.m., 4, 6. So at 6 a.m., we've got the Christmas contest and Magic and Mistletoe. I will probably opt for the Christmas contest. I love John Brotherton, and I love him with Candace Cameron Bure in that. May I choke on that? But but I do. I love them in that movie. So the Christmas contest and then Magic and Mistletoe. That's Paul Campbell. Now, it's kind of hard not to watch a Paul Campbell movie, which is why I have it on the list. But I will probably go with the Christmas contest in that situation. And then next is My Norwegian Holiday with Rihanna Fish. That's definitely on my list. Then we go back to a true Christmas classic, which is The Christmas That Town Forgot. That comes on at noon. Okay. Then Charming Christmas comes on at 2 p.m., right? With Julie Benz. And then there's a marathon of all the three wise men and a baby, three wiser men and a boy, and then the premiere of the three wisest men. That is this Saturday. So I will be on Twitter for this one for sure. Three wisest men. And I have to say, I predicted earlier in another episode about how I thought the three wisest men would go, like what would be the premise, because at the time the premise wasn't out or anything. And I was super close. I was super, super close. There was just one detail around the house that I did not predict, but the rest of it I predicted. So I feel proud of myself then, but I want to see it. I want to see it played out. All right. And then at 10 o'clock, we have Coming Home for Christmas or A Keller Christmas Vacation. I would highly recommend A Keller Christmas Vacation for people who have not watched that yet. That is so good. It is so good. It's just chef's kiss good. Love it. All right. And then Sunday, we have my favorite movie of the year so far, Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. Then we got some more classics coming up. Love at the Thanksgiving Parade at 2 a.m. I don't know how many of you I watched that. I love that movie. I watch it faithfully every year that they show it. And when they don't show it, I actually have it. I have purchased it and I watch it on Hallmark Plus. I love that movie. Catch a Christmas Star. That's another classic that they have not shown this year yet. I love Catch a Christmas Star. It's a 4 a.m. on Hallmark movies. So if you're up at 4 a.m. and you want to see a classic, Catch a Christmas Star is your movie. Then they come back current, right? They have To All a Good Night with Kimberly Susted. I love that movie. Then they have I'll Be Home for Christmas, another Christmas classic, 8 a.m. And then they have A Very Merry Mix-Up at noon, another Christmas classic. And then they have one of my favorites, like favorites, A Next Stop Christmas. That was like my number one movie a few years ago. And then they have a repeat of The Three Wisest Men. So if you didn't watch it at 6 o'clock, you can watch Three Wisest Men. And then they have Tidings for the Season, another premiere. This one is with Tamara Mowry Housley and BJ Britt. And I don't know about you guys, but I always love uh, Tamara in these movies when she has the cute kid, when she's the mother of a cute kid. She like, I don't know why. To me, it like shows the best side of her. So I will definitely be watching and reviewing Tidings for the Season with Tamara and BJ. And BJ was in those groomsmen movies on Hallmark Plus, which they eventually showed on Hallmark Channel. But if you have not watched them, please watch Hallmark Plus, and you can go and watch the groomsmen series, which includes BJ Britt. And then on Up TV, they have two movies that one movie in particular. They have Saving the Christmas Ranch, which is the new movie for this week, right? So they had like the Royal Christmas something or other that comes on before this at 5 p.m., but at 7 p.m., Saving the Christmas Ranch. So if you'd rather watch that, you can watch that. And then after Tidings for the Season, they have Santa Tell Me with Aaron Krakow. Another reason why it was tough to see her in Christmas Above the Clouds, because we love her in this movie. All right. On Monday, some good movies coming out this week. So Monday has a great selection of movies I'll talk about. The first one is A Christmas Carousel that comes on at midnight. Okay. Then I'm Not Ready for Christmas, another Christmas classic that I haven't seen on a movie in a while. I don't know why. It seems like they've picked 2 a.m. for Alicia Witt movies. I don't know why, but of course, The Very Merry Mix-Up comes on at like midnight. Noon the previous day, so I shouldn't say that. But it feels like at 2 a.m. you're gonna find an Alicia Witt movie on. So I'm Not Ready for Christmas is at 2 a.m. Then A Kiss Before Christmas is at 6 a.m. Love that movie. Definitely one I'm going to watch. And I will be up for that. Christmas Dance. I don't know if you remember that is a Christmas classic with Andrew McCarthy. I don't know if you guys remember. You got to be very Gen X for this. But he played in Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald. Yes, love that movie. Loved him in it. 8 a.m. Christmas Dance. At 10 a.m., 8 Gifts of Hanukkah. I love that movie. That's a good one. Back to the classics at 2 p.m. with Family for Christmas. All right. So then you have at 2 p.m. you have Family for Christmas with Lacey Chabert, and then at 6 p.m. you have The Christmas Waltz with Lacey Chabert. I love both of those movies. Of course, one is a classic. Family for Christmas is a classic. Christmas Waltz, I would consider a new classic. It is not an old classic. The Family for Christmas is an older classic. Then at 8, of course, we have our 2-hour series premieres. Series new episodes with Finding Mr. Christmas and Baked with Love. Okay. And then at 10 p.m., it is Crown for Christmas. And I'm going to do, like, I was flat on my butt. You have to forgive me. I'm for a little late. It's like always something, right? But I was sick this past weekend. So I fell a little behind my schedule, but I'm definitely catching my second wind here, and I think that I'm going to be on time for next week. So for next Tuesday, we're going to have our, I'll release the next episode. Okay. Um, so the new movies and ratings for this week include The Three Wisest Men, Tidings for the Season, A Merry Little Xmas, and a very Jonas Christmas movie, which is going to come on Friday, right? So I am looking forward to all of those movies. As a matter of fact, I may try to catch A Merry Little Christmas right after I get off from doing this episode. So that's going to do it for today. Please stay tuned. More news coming. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. So they've had multiple big lists, but they haven't had. So let me tell you guys, one piece of news that I didn't know about, because I've been waiting on this big list of combined movies for like all the networks, and that includes the black networks, which include like BET and all of that. Well, I just saw a release for TV1, and it is all the let's put it this way, it's quite a number of the Lifetime movies with African American characters in them, right? So we're talking Radio One, we're talking A Very Vintage Christmas, I think is Tamara Mowry. I think that was on the list. There's probably, I don't know, there was a list of about 6 or 7 movies that TV1. So TV1, I don't think did original new content this year. TV1 is reshowing. I guess they purchased and now are reshowing Lifetime movies. They licensed them, or maybe they purchased them. I don't know. But yeah, so TV1, not a lot of new content this year. They are actually going to be reshowing Lifetime movies, which I was kind of surprised about, but okay, I'm fine because I want to see all those. So I'm really excited about what's coming up on TV1. Anyway, if you missed when your favorite movie is coming on, listen again or check the daily chick pics on Twitter and Instagram. Honestly, uh, when I do them, when I wake up in time to do them and I'm not like so engaged in watching Christmas movies that I actually sit together and put together my daily list, I usually post it on just Twitter. Sometimes you'll find it on Instagram. Most of the time you're going to find it on Twitter. Thank you to my music and show editor, Will B. He created all the custom music for the show. He's at Wildcard Music, and you can find his IG page in the show notes. Until next time, remember, at Chicks on Christmas Flicks, we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. Please don't forget to subscribe. Leave a review on your favorite platform and tell your favorite Christmas movie loving friends about the show. Where can you find us? I'm so happy you asked. Podcast platforms, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. You can find them in the show, in the links in the show notes. Follow the show on Twitter and IG at Chicks Christmas Flicks. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week. For sure, I'll see you next week. Can't wait.